there's going to be some confusion as to, what is a ketone ester, what is a ketone salt, where does MCT oil fit into this, and what are the possibly effective uses for an endurance athlete? Could you maybe take us through some of that?
Sure. Well, right now, all the products that we see that are available to be bought, commercially available, that are in a liquid form or a powder form, packet form, are using ketone salts.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the ketone is one called BHB, beta hydroxybutyrate, or boy. And they connect it to a salt like sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Usually it's sodium. It's the most easily purchasable on the ingredient world. In the ingredient world, ketone salt. And sometimes they'll add MCT oil or powder, and that kind of delays how long the body or the blood will show elevated ketones. And the major ketone that we're talking about, and we talked about in the article, is BHB, or beta hydroxybutyrate.
Right.
And those salts are kind of challenging on the gut, and you have to to get doses. And the group at Oxford, what's your body weight? Let's get personal. What's your body weight today, TJ?
Mm-hmm. My body weight
What
today?
Is your body weight?
190.
Mm-hmm. So if we were to use the dose that was used in the study in Oxford, it would have been about 50 grams of ketone ester during about an hour of riding, before and during. That's a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot. It's also expensive. Right now, as I understand it, having talked with a couple people at Oxford, it's unobtainium. They have not yet been able to develop a commercially, economically viable form of this ester. That's why it's on the market, as I understand it. And there may be some advances.
Interesting.
And because, and I talk about this in the article too, what you find in the salts that are available, it's a mixture of two different forms of BHB. And so everyone has seen L-glutamine or L-leucine, a branched chain amino acid, and they usually see the capital L, then the hyphen, then the leucine or the glutamine. But that defines the chemistry in a three-dimensional world. And so if you have a right shoe and you try to put on your left foot, it's a shoe, and it's curved a certain way, it won't fit your left foot. But if you put that right shoe into the mirror and you could put your left foot into the mirror, it would fit. And so the body recognizes a lot of things in a three-dimensional way. And so the opposite of that would be the D form of leucine, and that would wreak havoc on protein recovery, and it could be toxic. And what is found in these supplements that are available is a mixture of the right and left form of BHB. We don't know yet if that would be antagonistic. There really hasn't been any studies that have been done yet that will be definitive. We do know, for example, that other things that have a right and left don't work, or they antagonize. And so what's currently available now may not be the most efficient form, and it may block how much is absorbed. It may block it getting into a muscle cell to be utilized. Maybe it block its entry into the brain to be used as a brain fuel. The stuff that's from Oxford is the one native form for the right foot, for the right shoe for the right foot.
Interesting.
And that has not yet been seen. And the other potential hurdle, and this is where the FDA gets involved, is that they have set recently, finally, these guidelines or these requirements for a new ingredient to come into the market. And if there's a new ketone ester that comes onto the market, it may be spanked down very quickly by the FDA, even by a competitor bringing it to the FDA's attention, because it has to go through a process where they submit to the government, to the FDA, here are the data on this new chemical entity, ketone ester. Here are the studies showing it's safe in animals, given up to 100, 200 milligrams per kilogram body weight. That nothing happened to the liver, their brains didn't explode, and they didn't have kidney shutdown. Most companies don't spend that kind of money and time to do that. The stuff from Oxford has been approved by the FDA, or allowed by the FDA, to be generally recognized as safe, or GRAS, G-R-A-S, and they can legally put it into a food, into a bar, into a drink, into cereal if they can get it to work into a flaked or crunchy or some paleo or gluten-free granola. They could do that. They have that allowance by the FDA. That is likely not going to happen readily, or when these newer forms of ketone esters come that are different from the group in Oxford that's been collaborating with a guy named Richard Veach from NIH. And they've been working on that for maybe 2 decades, decade and a half.
Holy moly.
And so there's this world waiting, and this new regulatory specter, this dark cloud that could come in and take something off the market. It'll be interesting to see how it unfolds, because there's always a race to get something new, almost Wild West rogue style, but it may be quite different with this one.
Wow, interesting. And so this will probably, the next few years, we're going to kind of figure out or find out what's going to happen or not happen in this respect, maybe.
Oh, and we're going to find out if it really works in race conditions. We don't know that yet. We don't know about keto